Flight boss, bitch. For sure. You're not listening to the mind of an Terry Smooth. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And we're gonna rectify all insecurities. Because one of the first things you have to do into rectifying anything in your life is understanding the root cause of what's ever affecting you. And once you start to understand those building blocks of that led to whatever circumstance that you are experiencing in your life, once you understand the root cause of it, then you will be able to know where the war is at. You will be able to know what battle you're fighting and where to go in the astral realm in order to get that problem fixed. Now, for the most part, that's with anything. Say if you even want to learn timetables, you want to learn multiplication, right? You're not going to learn it by someone just telling you 7 times 7 or someone just telling you 9 times 9. When you start to learn the multiplication system, therefore you're able to learn or able to understand other multiplication problems. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, this is where we start to talk about insecurities. Now, and we're going to talk about the root cause. And this is what my channel is about. The root cause and where everything is manifested from. AKA, this is the subconscious community and where we dive into the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. Now, for the most part, here's where insecurities is derived from. But before we even get into where it's derived from, we need to know what it is in the first place. So what is insecurities? Insecurities is anytime a person has a way of securing themselves, but they keep that within. You see what I'm saying? So the way that they secure themselves may accumulate into a lot of bad habits or into a lot of things that may appear that a person may be hiding something in some way, shape, or form. But that's when it leads off to a stray and it leads off to a bad end. But just the root cause of it and the initial purpose of insecurities is when a person take their emotional state or how they gain emotional security amongst themselves and keep that within. Therefore, no one knows how this person genuinely secure themselves because this person has a shape or form or a person, place, or thing that they have in front of what they keep inside. So for the most part, a person who has a lot of insecurities, right, the way that they secure themselves is kept within. So you may see a light or shape or form that they present in front of whatever that they keep inside. So a lot of these people become materialistic. You know what I'm saying? They keep a lot of materials in front of what they're trying to keep hidden. You know what I'm saying? And whatever that they got in front of, whatever that they're trying to keep hidden, plays as a representation of how they want to be seen. Therefore, if they are amongst people that are able to see through that a shape, form, illusion, or material, then they start to feel like they don't want to be around these people because these people can see through that. And once a person can see through the shape and form that a person is placing in front of whatever that they're insecure about, a person will start to feel naked. And this is where we talking about the real nakedness. When we talk about what religion try to take that and flip it into some other shit. Which when we talk about spirituality and in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, being naked is not having a spaceship. That means not having a concept, not having a leg to stand on, not having no conviction, aka not having your own mentality. So you're scattered, you're Neptunian, your thoughts is everywhere. So you can't gather them and become whole. You're not contained, you can't be yourself. So you're scattered everywhere. You're a daydreamer, aka your spirit is in too many places at one time. So you cannot formulate into one section and find yourself and anchor yourself into one shape and form and be able to perceive all things. You end up getting lost into all these things. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about being insecure, right? Now, being insecure, you keep your way of gaining emotional stability amongst yourself within, and then you put that, so you make something else be the support system of that. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times it could play out as a person, place, or thing. Also, it can play out as a person, place, or thing. So you may gravitate towards a relationship that make you feel safe based upon these person's actions and things of that nature. You may gravitate towards a specific location, maybe a store, maybe a place, maybe a park, maybe an area that you go to in order to hide or brood or be amongst yourself where things can't be released that's going on internally. Or you may gravitate towards being materialistic or having some form of material gain that you could place in front of you in order to be the representation of what you don't want people to see. So insecurity could lead into a problem because when you don't have that physical shape and form, or that person, place, or thing, or that concept in front of you in order to hide your state of being, for the most part you can appear to be very naked. Now, like I said, in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, this is when you don't have a spaceship, aka you don't have your own mentality, and you don't have something that your spirit could be in. So your spirit is naked, so everyone can see your spiritual nature. Now, if you're within a realm of reality that already have a whole bunch of concepts and ideas that precede you, aka ideas and concepts that have been created by other spirits that's vibrating higher than you, and since they got a legion, a lot of followers, there's a lot of terms and agreements that's being agreed to in this realm of reality. For an example, right? Let's say your true natural state of being is you like to wear, and this is an example, you like to wear black, but you live in a neighborhood, or you live in a society that may not be perceived as the right thing to do. Now, remind you, this may be something that's not even that serious. This might be something as little as everybody having sinks in their household. You don't buy a house and be like, why do I got a sink? I'd rather have a sink here. You bought a household and already agreed to the terms and conditions that a household should have a sink. So I'm looking at it like this. You see what I'm saying? So you'll be, this is like a small problem. So your natural state of being might be like, I like to wear black, but you might live in a society that is more natural to wear white. So you come up with all these justifications and things of that nature why you correlate with wearing white instead of black, right? So you just live your life with thinking like, you like forgot that your true state of being is even like wearing black. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, take that into consideration when we're talking about insecurities in general, right? Insecurities can develop from the smallest things, right? Because your true state of being is not being fully expressed based upon your location and where you stay at. And like I said, based upon the littlest things. It could be your siblings, it could be your family members, it could be your neighborhood, just the way that people walk, just the directions to the store. The direction to the store. Keywords, it's the school you go to, how y'all learn, the teachers. All these things, insecurities can derive from these things. Now, for the most part, it's a way that you secure yourself. Now, you may be in a specific location that you may start to feel like if you was to express this, if you was to express yourself in this way, it may not be accepted well. And then the way that things are indoctrinated in your area, right, you may feel like there's a sense of no coming back, and you don't ever want to be always looked at in that light. So you start to develop minor insecurities. You start to develop minor limitations, minor blockages, minor cages for your spirit. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, this become cloth. These become clothes in order to keep your spirit pure. You see what I'm saying? So this is one of the things that we had to do once we started to learn what it is to live like a god. Once we started to eat the fruit. Once we started to rub ourselves in the oil. Once we started to go into the flame. Once we started to go into the wombs as spirits, as being pure. We have to start learning how to sustain ourselves, gain clothing, gain cloth, in order to be aware of ourselves so we don't lose ourselves. So we already lost ourselves. So this is where the science came from, that in order to find yourself, you have to lose yourself. Now we already have lost ourselves into our flesh, our skin, our fluids, and everything. Now you have to refine yourself. You have to find your true state of being, and you have to find it through the illusion of all the shapes and forms and the people, places, and things and the concepts that's going along within the realm of reality that you are in. So for the most part, we're developing insecurities when we are afraid to find ourselves, when we are afraid to find our nakedness, our true nakedness. You see what I'm saying? So when we become afraid of our true nakedness, we become insecure. So a lot of times, when you're insecure, you have to develop a lot of accumulations, aka develop a lot of cloths in order to blind people that was going on beneath that. You see what I'm saying? So this is why material people get really material, or this is why relationship people get real relationship heavy. And I'm sorry, this insecure people may eat a lot and things of that nature. They have to accumulate whatever helping them with whatever that they're keeping internal. Well, really, they just need to release what's going on internally. And a lot of times, this has nothing to do with a psychologist or talking to someone. This has something to do with training your subconscious mind to just freely act upon your true nature without caring about other people and how they're going to look at you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you're caring too much about your surroundings and you're not caring enough about yourself. You're giving too much of yourself to other people. When you're paying attention to other things, you're giving too much of yourself to other things. And if you're paying attention to how other things may perceive you, and if these are quote unquote the reasons why you're not doing something, keyword not, then you're putting your spirit in a cage for no apparent reason. When your spirit needs to be manifesting the people, places, and things around it so it can be free, not be creating a bunch of limitations and cages to sustain itself around people, places, and things that don't allow your spirit to be free. Remind you, your spirit is always trying to leave and escape. Your spirit is never trying to sustain and stay put. Anytime you put yourself in a routine or a pattern for too long and don't understand when something has served its purpose or when time is up, your spirit will create a catastrophic moment in your life to get out of that physical form. So and to get out of that situation, you're going to develop all kind of wisdom, because you're going to develop all that information and you're going to figure something out, aka figure your way out of that out of that form that you went into. And then once you figure out that circumstance and get all that information, your eyes can rise above that and go into a bigger form, go into a bigger realm of reality, because you have risen above that lower shape and form, and now you can go on to something bigger in your life. You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, a lot of people don't understand that, because they think that the people, places, and things, or whatever they have fixated themselves into, is a form of familiarity. And a form of familiarity is actually a tool that people use in order to feel comfortable. Now, these things are not exclusive to each other, but for the most part, the way that we're so filtered into so many different scenarios down here, and everything is gathered in a bunch in the third dimension, that a lot of times y'all can't see what's right is wrong, and you can't see what's wrong is right, to the point that you don't even understand that there's no such thing as neither or. It's just what's relative to you. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, you just got to rise yourself above these realms of realities and understand that getting these people, places, and things that you're fixating yourself into, a lot of times, yeah, they play as a form of familiarity, because these are things that you are already experiencing, and you had enough experiences to develop memory, to add on to our Akashic records, and for things to be relative to you, and for you to understand how to move in that realm of reality, because it's an experience. But for the most part, for you to feel comfortable have nothing to do with that. This is where we get into the realm of reality of a person being nervous when they experience the new situation, and a person who feel excited when they experience a new situation. See, a person who know how to develop comfortability within a new experience shows you by default that familiarity and comfortability are not exclusive to each other. But a lot of times spirits just cling on to the drug of familiarity in order to feel comfortable. So a lot of times when they jump into their North Node energies and start to manifest new circumstances and situations in their life, they're too blinded to see if that's a good thing or not. And a lot of times it creates nervousness or worrying or scaredness, because you never experienced that before. So you run to what's familiar to you in order for you to feel comfortable within that astral travel. And a lot of times what's familiar to you is a person, place, or thing. And 9 times out of 10, these are things that you may cling on to. And 9 times out of 10, since what's ever familiar to you give you a sense of comfortability, you think this is the right thing to do, aka cling on to these things. You think that's the right thing to do. Then slowly but shortly down the line, these same people, places, and things play out as a catastrophic moment for you in order to remind you that you really didn't need these things in the first place. And then once you go through that catastrophic moment, you go on in your life like, yeah, I needed to go through that in order to develop wisdom, because I would have never knew that this person, place, or thing wasn't for me. So I'm glad life took me through that. But if you was watching Archangel Uriel, you would know to this day right now that that's a whole experience that you could have just saved yourself from. You didn't even have to go through all that. You didn't even have to go through all those dumbass experiences just to learn what I'm telling you right now. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, you need to know to this date to do everything in moderation and not be clinging on to whatever you feel familiar with as a form of a drug when you feel uncomfortable, or in orders to feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And this lead on to society, right? You got a job, right? So a job is your sense of feeling comfortable because you have a sense of income, right? So for the most part, society placed that there for you. So if you a person who got a true state of being that step outside every day and feel like, nah, I don't want to get no job or whatever like that, right? You're gonna start developing insecurities around that, right? Because whatever you're getting into that don't involve a job, if 90% of the world think that it takes a job to get from point A to point B, then you're going to start developing insecurities, aka start hiding what you are capable of based upon the area you live in. People looking at you like you're crazy or in an illusion, but or whatever you're doing may never work because you're not even looking to get a job to sustain that. And then that realm of reality have became so solid in this realm of reality that 9 times out of 10 these people are right. So to even get your dream working a little bit, it may be right based upon what's relative to you and whatever you're trying to do in the reality that you're in to get from point A to point B. So now you have to utilize gadgets and tools within the realm of reality based upon what we have made fixed here, based upon us giving that much attention to that concept. You understand? So for the most part, let me come back down to 3D so I can have better words for y'all. So for the most part, when we get into concepts of understanding how to understand the insecurities, they're derived from many different realms of realities. So when you have a person who has many different insecurities, it can lead into ways who insecure could go into many different facets, many different multitudes. You could be insecure into love, relationships. You could be insecure into expressing yourself freely. You could be insecure. Anyway, it's all back to supported by you keeping whatever you keep secure about yourself inside. You know what I'm saying? So you may have an attitude, right? You may be a type of person that have an attitude all the time because you may be insecure about the love that you have experienced in your life. You may have experienced love matters very negatively. So you develop some type of attitude. So anytime somebody come to you, you show this attitude before you show whatever you keep secure about yourself. So this attitude becomes a tool on how you secure yourself, and however you secure yourself, you have a bunch of internal things going on. So we call that internal. So when you got insecurities, that means you have a bunch of things that you want to keep inner. So you create this like type of security mechanism. You know what I'm saying? That if you ain't around people who got this security code, they would never be able to know what's going on inside you, and they would never be able to know the true you, and therefore you're blocking yourself off, and when you die you're going to go to that kind of world. So I don't want that kind of world for you. But for the most part, when you got insecurities, you just got this security code, and the more insecurities you got, that means the more you done took your spirit in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional realm, your spiritual currency, your spirit money, which you a billionaire there, and you take all your money there to buy new systems to add on to your security lock. So for the most part, you got an alarm system, you got cameras, you got all kind of shit. You can see people from a mile away who might can see through whatever you got in front of whatever you're trying to keep insecure you. And you got all kind of systems to kill that energy before it even come close to you. And I don't want you to be no type of person that's steered off like that. But you need to know where insecurities is derived from. So the first thing you need to do to get these things rectified, right, is to jump into some type of energy signature where these insecurities are seen in another way. They're not seen in the same way that you see them. You see what I'm saying? You're able to find a new way to express these things in a more lighter way, in a more relatable way. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, it can either make people laugh and make people sad at the same time, but it's something that you can release. You see what I'm saying? It's something that you're not holding in. It's something that you can be like, okay, this is something that I can use to my favor. Then once that insecurity is something that you can use, it is no longer internal. It is external now. Now it could become a tool. It could become something that other people can see. And now, based upon the energy signature you put behind it, aka the idea, the concept, the feeling and emotion that you put behind what you're actually showing now, that's how it's going to actually look. Like I said, we're all magicians. So you can make that illusion, that light form, that concept, that thought look like however you want it to look. Now, it may appear to look like something because it's already an experience. So it's something that you insecure about, but bring it out. Now, once you bring it out, give it a meaning. You have to give it a meaning, give it a purpose, propose to something, propose to a claim or a mission behind it, and then that's your energy signature behind it. Then when other people are going to see it, but then when they feel it with the spirit, it's going to be packed. They're going to feel the information that's packed with what it look like, and the information that is filled with is the energy signature you put behind it. AKA, is it going to make people laugh? Is you going to make people feel you? Is you going to make it relatable? It's all about the energy signature you put behind it. And therefore, however it's seen is seen. But however it's going to be felt is how it's going to start appearing to look. The more and more REM reality we put on it. And if you're putting it in a positive light, God damn it, that insecurity is no longer going to be an insecurity. It's going to be a shape and form of how you secure yourself, and then other people are going to see that as a representation or an example on how they can secure themselves. So other people who have a bunch of insecurities, you will be the example for everyone else on how to secure themselves, so they no longer have any insecurities, and they be that much more spiritually free to experience and manifest the real people, places, and things that they need to in their lives. Therefore, they don't have no spiritual ankle bracelets bonding them down into this rainbow waters that we're in, so they can't fully experience what they spirit want to experience in any facet or realm of reality. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air, and this motherfucker, that's insecurities. Let's make sure they out securities.